What's a couple of you guys are drinking, or did you have some PBR coffees already? I know Chad, you had a sloop, right?
I have a little juice bomby.
There you go. DJ
Matt.
Oh, Matt broke out the ironweed from Albany Distilling.
Big guns.
Yeah.
It is midday.
It is Sunday. Nice fun Sunday afternoon. I'm off tomorrow, so I'm only on beer number 2. It is only 1:30 though. So
yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Unrelated note, I got to run upstairs for like 2 or 3 minutes if you guys don't mind.
Not at all.
No, not at all.
I was nice of you to wait until I hit the record button. So thank you. I felt this appropriate after you guys were there a couple of weeks ago. I'm actually drinking some Unified Beer Works.
Oh, nice.
So all the juicy things IPA.
That's a good one.
They have some great stuff.
They really do. It's really nice.
Let me do an intro because I actually want to ask you about that show and how much fun that was. So welcome to another episode of Stories from a Bar, home bar edition, as I am drinking at my home bar, otherwise known as my desk here in my little nerd man room. Of course, I'm your host, Chris Osborne. For this episode, I'm hanging out with TJ Foster, Matt Delgado, and Chad Flewelling. Did I say that even close?
You nailed it.
It's the 2 W's right next to each other.
It messes it up.
Throw me off. I'm like, was that a typo?
It's not. Nope. My whole life.
Of course, you guys make up 3/4 of the band E.R.I.E, and local indie rock band from Albany, New York. And I thank you guys so much for taking the time to hang out and chat. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
No problem. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, man. We just had our last rehearsal for the year, and just kind of winding down from that, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah.
So since I'm drinking some Unified Beer Works, you guys played a show there a couple of weeks ago, just covering Blink and Green Day songs, right?
It was the debut finale of E.R.I.E 182.
Yes.
The debut finale. I like that.
Yeah. It was good.
What are some of your favorite Blink songs or Green Day songs to play then?
Well, we didn't play the Green Day stuff. We just played the Blink stuff.
Was it just Blink?
I mean, I've been playing all those songs like whenever I have, free drum time since I was 15. So like they're all up there for me.
Kind of like what we kind of grew up on that. So
yeah,
me too, man.
Like, hey, what can we do for Halloween? Relatively simply. Then we realized how short Blink 182 songs are and how long of a set we needed to fill. So 25 of them. Matt and I each did like halvesies on bass, which neither one of us have ever played bass live before. So it was a lot of firsts, but it was a blast, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I grew up on, I think one of my first CDs was Dookie, and then Dude Ranch really got me on my kind of going in pop punk direction somewhere in middle school or whenever I got into that. But I think just the opening chords of Damn It is probably one of the first things I ever tried to learn on guitar once I finally got a guitar. It's a song that just fucking still rocks today.
It's that one, and I think I was a little later, so All the Small Things I think was like the first song I learned on guitar, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
A lot harder to play back then.
I was more of a casual Blink fan. Like I loved them, but I never learned any of the songs. So I learned like 20 something songs in, what did we say, like 3 weeks?
Yeah, it was about that. Yeah.
Half of them are all the same too.
Well,
so
that's true. I only learned 4 chords.
I was going to say, there's not a lot of chords there, but it still sounds intense to try to get that down that quickly. Quick shout out to Uptown Beverage, who I had deliver some beer for me yesterday since I'm kind of stuck at home, and they have a great, fantastic delivery service over on Altamont Ave. For anyone out there interested in getting beer delivered, you can go to uptownbeverage.com, enter the code STORIES for 3% off your online purchase. That's how I got my Unified Beer Works beer since I couldn't drive up to Malta. And great place, great selection. So definitely check out Uptown Beverage.
Cheers to Uptown Beverage.
Cheers to Uptown Beverage.
Dink.
And discounts on beer and having it brought to your door. It's
Double
better.
good. Triple good.
All of those things are great.
I know they are. But I've seen Blink. I think I've only seen them 2 or 3 times, but because you referenced the Pop Disaster Tour, and I saw the Charlotte, North Carolina stop because I lived down south at the time, and it was just fucking phenomenal. I think Travis is has got to be the top drummer in the business at this point.
He's insane, and I really butchered him, and I feel bad, but it's fine.
No, man, it was good. It was solid. Yeah, that Pop Disaster Tour was great. I saw it up here at SPAC, actually, myself and a couple of friends that I went to high school with, middle school. I forget what. Yeah, it was definitely high school. It's like 2001, right? And I skipped, but what was awesome was that my mom, who was a teacher at the time, skipped school too, and we all went up to SPAC on a Tuesday and saw that tour.
Nice.
It's just one thing I'll never forget is because they had Travis hooked up to this system that lifted him up in the air. He's freaking rotating upside down, playing drums. I'm like, I'll remember this till the day I die because it's the only time I'm sure I'm going to see this. And just to see how his career's gone after that has been pretty amazing when it comes to music and everything. But still, crazy stuff, man.
He's like revitalizing pop punk right now, like single-handedly. It's like everything that's out now, it's like featuring Travis Barker.
It's just him playing drums to different singers all day long.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's great.
So let's talk about Erie, because that's why we're here. Not just
Good segue.
I know. So tell me how you guys got together and how this band came together.
So I actually, it kind of started as a pet project of mine. I was in the hospital unexpectedly, and it was kind of a scary moment. And I just decided I wanted to play some loud music again. I hadn't done it in a while. I've been doing a lot of like softer acoustic stuff, and I really missed kind of feeling stage. So I decided to do things backwards. I recorded an album before I found the band, but during that process, Matt and I worked together. So we kind of knew, and we were both going through some life shit at the same time. And it kind of just naturally made sense. We both wanted to pour ourselves into something like this. Jordan was my college roommate. So I've known him for, 15 years now, whatever. Did I do that right? Yeah, 15 years. And so we've been playing music together since, then. So it was kind of natural. He is a guitar player by trade and kind of just picked up the bass and just blew us all away. So it was like very natural. And I met Chad, the best way you can meet a drummer, which is on Craigslist. I knew a couple of drummers from the area, and I had reached out to them, and they were interested, but they're all in like 7 or 8 projects. So I was like, all right, let me go rummage through Craigslist. And I found this dude who was looking to start a cover band, and I was like, hey, how'd you play some original music? And Chad was like, hell yeah. And that was that's kind of how we all came together, and it's been pretty crazy. Like just over the last year and a half or so, just seeing these songs that I kind of recorded by myself in a basement, like take on an entirely new life because of these guys and how talented they are.
That's awesome. Chad, you mentioned you're from Michigan. How did you even end up in New York?
I moved to New York City in 2007. I had to give my last push at trying to do something music related. So me and 2 buddies moved out there, found an apartment in Bed-Stuy, and then just kind of figured it out, found some jobs, and I joined a band down there probably in February. Was playing with those dudes, and then I actually ended up meeting my wife through them in June, and then we started pretty much dating then. So yeah, that's how we got up here. And then we had some family up this way, and we were kind of tired of city life and city prices and this way.
Yeah, I love going to visit the city. I don't know if I could handle living down there.
I think I was 23 at the time. I think I was in the right mindset.
Okay.
I don't think I could do it now. I just don't have the energy.
Nope.
So I guess we'll just kind of go around on this one, but how did you guys get, like, what inspired you to start picking up instruments and trying to play music? Matt, you want to go?
Yeah, I started playing violin in elementary school when I was 8, 3rd grade or so. And, stuck with that right through, in college, I ended up playing with the concert ensemble and being concertmaster my senior year and stuff. So really enjoyed that. But, as you turn 12, 13, 14, you start realizing no one's really paying much attention to the guy that's playing the violin. So I picked up a guitar, as you do. And I was going back to the podcast you did about that Newfound Glory album. And I think, somewhere between, you mentioned so much for the Afterglow by Everclear.
Yep.
It was Third Eye Blind's self-titled, and probably
Newfound
Glory's Nothing Gold Can Stay, that just kind of flipped something on in my brain, and I was like, all right, rock and roll, pop punk music, and it was all systems go.
Well, you say no one pays attention to the violin guy. What about Yellow Card, man?
Well, the backflips help.
Yeah, well, that's true. He was very acrobatic.
You beat me to it, man.
This was long before Yellow Card was doing their thing.
You could have been a trendsetter.
Could have.
It's
right.
true. Get a trampoline and just do random flips on stage.
Absolutely.
TJ, how'd you end up getting into music?
I can't really pinpoint like what made me pick up a guitar, I guess. You know, when I was in, you know, like grade school and stuff like that, I was like big into baseball. So I was a baseball player until I got to high school when people really couldn't run. And so that was kind of the end of my baseball career. And I started getting real into music, and I'd been playing the saxophone, but kind of like Maddie, I wanted to do something a little more cool, for lack of a better word. So I picked up a little cheap black Yamaha, and my second cousin or something of mine over in Connecticut, he owns a music shop.
Nice.
And started lessons from him. And then I decided I didn't want to take lessons anymore. I just kind of wanted to do what I wanted to do. So while Matt was listening to really cool things, I was listening to what was some big ones, Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit. And
what do you mean really cool things? They are really cool.
Yeah, no. Hybrid Theory is still mint.
Dude, that is top-notch album.
Yeah.
Top-notch. But so that's actually kind of what I started trying to play on guitar, and it very quickly became pop punk. Like, you know, like we said, like Blink, right? Enema of the State came out and blew my mind. It was like The Offspring. You know, I mentioned Green Day. I was a big Phoenix CX fan. Anything on like Drive Thru, like just ate it all up for years, and just kind of never stopped. I realized it was the outlet that I needed, you know, mentally. It was kind of the only thing that's kind of I've been able to turn to all these years and been like, okay, here's my saving grace, right? My constant that I can just depend on. That's just kind of what music became for me. So
nice. Chad?
I was the hyper kid who was always hitting everything, always. And it's always just wanting to pound on stuff and wanting to play drums and, you know, do stuff like that. But I played hockey when I was a kid. So my parents were like, well, you have this activity, you can't really have any other activities type of sort of thing. But I had a friend on the street who was in school band, and he played drums and he had a set. So I'd go down almost every day after school, and he would show me what he learned in band class that day. And then 6th grade, I was like, all right, awesome. I want a drum set for Christmas. My parents got me a acoustic guitar.
I feel like asking for a drum set is every parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm looking at my 4-year-old son's drum set, which is top notch. But anyway, so you know, working with my buddy Zach and learning stuff from him, and then finally, I didn't really get my own kit until I was like 16. But then I just came home from school every day and just played to records and imitated stuff and just tried to figure out whatever I could from whatever it was I was into listening to at the time.
Awesome. So here's a question I'm sure you've been asked before, but I got to put it out there. How did you guys end up settling on the band name E.R.I.E?
It's all you, TJ.
Yeah, it's on me. Kind of started when I was like in the hospital and very tired and existential and so on. But I kind of wanted to pay homage to kind of the things that kept me going, and the first thing that came to mind was my daughters. So Erie, the 4 letters of that are kind of a mnemonic representation of first and middle names. So it's the last letters of each of their first and middle names.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sounds a lot more confusing than it is, but yeah.
And quite a coincidence being, it seems like a locally focused name because of the Erie Canal and everything like that.
I didn't think about that at first, but yes, it made it very hard to find anything online that
to do Google searches.
Right. Every band I've been in has this problem, by the way. So
is it a TJ problem?
Yes. But yeah, so that's actually why, you know, all of our socials and stuff, it's a band called E.R.I.E. So everyone always kind of asks what our name is, and we just say whatever you want is fine. So
That's one way to go. So you guys are signed to Mint 400 Records, which is an indie label out of Hawthorne, New Jersey. How'd that come about?
So last year, I don't know if you know this, but last year was pretty crazy.
Never would have guessed.
So the record, I finished the record and just kind of self-released it first week of March, literally days before everything shut down.
Yep.
So the worst possible time to release a record, and we couldn't do anything on it, right? We were able to play one show at the end of February that was kind of like 24 hours notice. We had practiced together maybe twice ever as a band,
Three times.
Fair enough.
Or no, that was the third time we played. Yeah, you're correct.
Gotcha. So we couldn't really, give the record the attention that it deserved or that we wanted to give it. So we decided to kind of backpedal a little bit and send it around to some labels. And Mint 400 caught our eye because there's a bunch of good bands on there, obviously, but a band I'm friends with called The Racer, who are great guys. They had recently signed to Mint 400. And so after doing some research, we thought we'd be a good fit for it. Sent it to them, and the guys took a listen to the record and really enjoyed it. And it's kind of just the rest is history.
Awesome. And of course, it's called Don't Want to Live, Don't Want to Die. We're going to talk about that in a second. But what's the songwriting process like for you, or what was it like then as opposed to now that you have a full band?
Well, then it was, I start writing everything on guitar, and I'll kind of just sing nonsense words. It sounds really weird, but I'll come up with a melody that way, right? And I'll just be singing random words. I'll record it, and then I'll kind of go back and write lyrics to those melodies. So nothing really changed in that respect, but it was definitely challenging, kind of hearing the big picture. Because while I was thinking about that, I also had to think about what's this going to be doing rhythmically, and that's not, I'm not a drummer, right? I taught myself to play a little bit, and I kind of faked it, but it was hard coming up with beats that weren't boring and this and that. But it was just a lot of me kind of tinkering in the studio. I didn't demo anything. I just kind of started tracking and just kind of, fell upon certain things, right? If it worked, it was great. And if it didn't, I just, scrapped it and tried something different. So now it's a lot more me sending these guys songs and like the bare bones of songs, and they're kind of doing their own thing, which is great because it's a lot better.
I mean, you have this album written and recorded, basically. Matt and Chad, when you guys come in and you hear this, I mean, what's your kind of reaction coming into something that's kind of done and you're here to kind of help build and expand on it?
Well, so TJ sent it to me. I started listening to it at work. I'm just walking around doing whatever I was doing at work and listening to it all day. And it kind of just identified with the music. Like it felt kind of personal to me, even though somebody who I didn't really know at the time wrote all these tunes. And so before I even sat down behind my kit to like try to play along to anything, I kind of felt somewhat attached to the songs. And then I sat down the first time, and it was a song that I hadn't really listened to a lot. It was called Batman. And I'm listening to it, and I start doing exactly what TJ did on the track. When the drums came in, I was like, well, this is great. I'm already here. Like I already felt connected to, the body of work. And it felt pretty great, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I had been, cause I think TJ, we were still working together or maybe I had just left, but either way, we had been in touch, and you had sent me a couple of the tracks before they were finalized. And, having been a fan of the work that TJ and Jordan had done dating back to when we went to, SUNY, I was immediately on board, and I said, I really don't care what you want me to do on here. I'll play any instrument that you need. But I would love to be a part of this project because, lyrically and musically, it really spoke to me. I think the first one that was sent was Fire Away. And, right from the opening stanza of that song, I was like, yep, that's where I'm at in life right now. So this is going to happen. So, I mean, I was on board right from the get-go. And I was, one of the things that we got to do before the world shut down was do a radio show on EXT and do just the two of us in studio, which was a lot of fun.
Nice. Well, let's talk about the album, because that's a great segue into Fire Away, which is the first song. And I remember the first time I've heard this, I forgot, maybe I just stumbled across you guys on social media or somehow. I forgot how I came across the band, but of course I went and looked it up and I really enjoyed what I heard. But just like that first stanza, the first line there, there's a lot of stuff going on in the song, it sounds like. But last year was a shitstorm for the ages. For 15 seconds, I was dead. I'm like, yeah, you got my attention.
That was the idea. That's I kind of up until that point, my musical career, I never got real, like, I've always been very open lyrically, but I've never been very blunt, I guess you could say. And this time it was just like, you know what, just say what you want to say, man. Like, and I kind of took a cue from one of my favorite songwriters who sadly passed away a few years ago, but Scott Hutchison of Frightened Rabbit. I remember when he came out with a record called Pedestrian Verse. The first line of that song, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but I know that he had come out before the album came out. He said the fifth word on our new record is dickhead, and it was kind of like, oh, attention gotten, right? And so I kind of took that cue, and I was like, you know what? Let's just say, call it what it is, right? It was a shitty year, and of course, we had no idea what was going to be on the horizon. But at the time, it was a pretty shitty year. But singing it now in 2021 still makes sense. So whatever that means.
Well, yeah, shitty year for everybody, but dude, you fucking died, right? Like your heart stopped for 15 seconds.
Yes, it did. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it gets a lot shittier than that.
Yeah, we related on a metaphorical level, but it was
that's a literal line.
Yeah.
My favorite part about this is how when I first met TJ, how nonchalant he was about it. Like I was asking, like, so what happened? Like, we met first jam for the first time. They came up to my place in Saratoga, and he was like, "Oh, it's a long story. It's fine." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So then he finally opened up about the story. I'm like, what?
Just like one of those things where it was just I'd rehash so many times. I think it's just like, let's just enjoy this moment, our first time jamming together, right? Like, we don't need to worry about this right now. But yeah, it was scary as shit, man. I mean, it certainly wasn't like this like life flash before your eyes sort of thing or whatever. But like, I've never ridden in the back of an ambulance before, right? It was 3:30 in the morning, so like at the time, 1.5-year-old was like, in her crib sleeping and stuff like that. That's kind of stuff I was thinking about, right? That kind of just really killed me was, thinking about my daughter and my wife, like, oh shit, what's going to happen? And it started as this, what they thought was like a GI thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, my heart stops and they're doing heart surgery, which is not something you expect when you're.
No, it sounds like it escalated quite quickly.
That's what. Yeah, cardiologist put me on a monitor just to see how things would like go, and then like it was like 2 weeks later this all happened, and I go back to see him after the surgery. He said that exactly. He's like, oh, that escalated quickly, didn't it?
But like there, it sounds just like there's a lot going on in the song lyrically after you even get past that line. But I love the guitar after you sing "Fire Away." By the way, that how the guitar stands out there. That's an awesome guitar part. It sounds like there's just insanity and like a person slowly losing his mind in this song. It's kind of how it comes across to me. And I love when like you're kind of singing and it almost sounds like you're going off on a tangent but still singing.
Yeah, it was a lot of different thoughts that I was trying to piece together and make sound coherent, but then that chorus is kind of just the overarching like zip tie, if you will. It ties everything together and it's just kind of like, hey, all this, you get kicked and stuff like that, but don't stay down, right? Like,
yeah. And I love the line, I know I shouldn't care. There's a fire in my bones and I'm going to let it burn. I had something about that line that stuck out to me too.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it's kind of where this project started. Honestly, it was like, okay, I just want to keep playing music. Like, yeah, I'm getting older now and this and that, but let's have fun again. Life's too short. Clearly, it's a cliche, but it's true.
It is, man. It is. Gentlemen Callers. I love the chorus on this song. How did this song come together? This
song started, actually, This is the only song on the record. I don't even know if you guys know this, Matt. This is the only song on the record that actually was written before this project even existed. It was like this acoustic demo. It was like a voice memo I kind of unearthed. I don't even remember, I don't think I recorded it for anything specific, but I think it was dating back to 2016 maybe, where I just kind of had the chorus and like parts of the verse, and I was like, oh, that'd be kind of appropriate for this project. So I unearthed it, kind of polished it off, and it kind of came together in a way I was pretty happy with.
Is the line "I'm gonna pick my ass up and go home with someone new"? Is that the line?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm listening to it over and over again. I want to make sure I get the words right. I'm like, I think that's pretty sure that's what he's saying.
Yep. That's it.
That's fun to yell live, by the way.
Yeah. And I love there's this vocal effect going on in the background in like the last chorus of the song. I don't know if it's like an echo or the way a little like somewhat subtle in the background is coming. That really sounds cool.
Yeah, that was a very last minute decision where I every record I make, I always have like this production idea and like the 25th hour. Then I'm like, all right, just do it. And then most of the time I end up regretting it. But this one I didn't. Just kind of like, all right, I need something. I need to yell something here. And I think I just yelled something random, and I was like, that works. Matt does it much better live, for sure.
Fears Come Running. I love the guitar right from the beginning in this song. This is a good one. Something I don't like. I can't quite put my finger on your vocals. I don't like it sounds unique to me. It stands out. Your vocals stand out to me. It sounds maybe it's like a classic rock type vocal. Something I feel like I'm listening to something like Chuck Berry times, that like the 60s, 70s type rock vocal.
I think Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't we get like mentioned in a review like that? Like they reviewed the record and they said something about like a classic rock sort of thing.
Yeah. And, I ended up thinking about that. I think it's the combination. I think it ends up being your delivery and the combination of like the pop punk ethos combined with the like singer-songwritery, more ethereal feel. And I think the way that comes across delivers that classic rock vibe.
I'd never gotten that before. Not definitely not my wheelhouse, but it's flattering nonetheless. So. And then what really jumped out again with to me was some guitar playing at about the 2.5 minute mark right before the bridge. Like that was just fire. That was some awesome guitar playing right there.
Thank you.
I think Matt and Chad, how involved in these songs? Because the album was re-recorded with you guys, right? Is that basically what happened?
No, it was not. No, TJ did everything. So we were not involved in any of this process, but now like there are, some things that I've changed in what I'm playing. I'm sure Matt has done the same in what he's playing. We're all kind of putting our own spin on the record while staying as true to what it was as possible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of liberties taken live. There's a song later on the album that I can talk about when we get there, but that we've completely changed pretty much 80% of how we play it.
Oh, wow. All right.
Well, yeah, it's weird now. If I'll listen to the recordings, I kind of start anticipating the things that these guys do live, and then they don't happen, and I'm like, oh, that's really weird. So it's like I'm very used to playing them now as opposed to listening to them.
That Man, a slower song for me up until this point. I love the chorus. It seems really smooth and relaxing. It's starting out. How did this song come together?
I kind of wanted to write a song about toxic masculinity, I guess is the phrase, but I don't know if you could tell by looking at me, but I'm not a very manly person.
Kind of look like a dock worker right now. It's the fingerless gloves, I think, that are doing it.
I just kind of wanted to write a song about that. And again, I don't entirely remember where the song came from, but I do know that, to your point, it was kind of like the relaxed, slower song on the album, but I didn't want it to end in the same place that it started. So that's kind of where that buzzed out section came from.
Yeah, I in my notes here, it sounds like you're building a lot of layers here, and then there's like an explosion right before the 3-minute mark. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of fuzz pedals and stuff.
It actually reminds me a lot of just the structure of a Jimmy Eat World song, because they do that in a lot of their songs, where it's slowly adding in new sounds until it's just boom.
That's one of our biggest influences. So
yeah, you hit the uniting thread on the nail of the head there.
Well, as I was a number of beers deep and listening to the album the other night, and writing up some notes, I was also staring to my left here. I have a huge poster of the Futures album cover. So I'm like,
Oh, nice.
so I'm sure I will reference. I have Jimmy Eat World referenced in here again on another song. So I don't think that's a coincidence.
Awesome. That's awesome.
The background, love the drum beat on this right from the beginning. The drums keeps you hooked throughout this entire song. I thought it's great drumming.
Thank you. Yeah, that was one of the few songs where I was like, this is a pretty cool drum beat. I don't know. Chad probably heard like, the hell's he doing? It's not how you're supposed to hit drums.
It actually, it made me kind of step out of my comfort zone, because I feel like I have a formula where it's like, I'm going to start over here and then, spread out. I never in my ever started a song with just like a kick and a snare and then moving it around the toms, and it's kind of made me settle down a little bit as well, which it's been fun. So it's a good exercise.
I picked up immediately on the Woody Guthrie reference to, I thought these things were supposed to kill fascists. I'm like, I think I picked up on that real quick. Like, I knew that line, but what did I watched La Bamba a couple of weeks ago, and there was a reference about that line or Woody Guthrie in it. So I'm like, I knew it as soon as I heard it.
Yeah, that was like, I kind of wanted to get a little, it's like a, for lack of a better word, I guess, like political song, so to speak, but I didn't want to just be overt. I kind of wanted to write from a different perspective. And so I had the framework of the song. I really liked, I really liked the drum aspect of it. I really liked the lyrics, but something wasn't jiving. And so I sent it off to a friend of mine named Frank McGinnis. He lives down in like the Kingston area. He's been in a lot of different bands, but I sent it to him for ideas, and he kind of a few days later sent me back this file that had a bunch of different like sweet angelic harmonies and all the synth stuff you hear in there. That's all him, and all these layers came on. I was like, oh well, there's the song. That's it there. So it kind of, yeah.
There was going into the bridge. The bridge gave me a real Bleachers, Jack Antonoff type vibe.
Okay.
Just the musically with a little synth there. I think it was. I'm listening to this. I'm like, this sounds like something I hear on a Bleachers record right now.
Yeah, that was entirely him. Started off a very empty place and ended up being very big, and it's definitely one of my favorites to listen to and to play.
No, it's awesome because just the end of the song explodes when you're yelling, "Burn this fucker to the ground." I'm like, yeah.
It's been fun to try to figure out how to adequately do that bridge justice live. And it's gone through a couple of iterations, but I think I've settled on how I'm going to do that kind of chorusy ambient piece, at least for a bit. So, throw on a couple of delay and reverb pedals and kind of just let it wash over you. That bridge is probably as close as we will ever get to jammy.
To jam band land. The dirt inside your soul. Right away, the song title catches my attention. Tell me about the dirt inside your soul.
Oh boy. I guess.
How much time do we have?
I'm gonna have to refill here for this one.
Breaking out the hard stuff.
I guess for me, at least, I won't speak for these guys, but looking inward, it's really a song about mental health and depression and stuff. And at least, growing, at the time when I was growing up, right, it wasn't something that you really talked about, or at least it wasn't discussed like freely or seriously. Right nowadays, I think the stigma on a lot of it's been removed. But for some, it's still still out there. So I think the idea was like, no, it's like just be who you are, right? Like no matter what's in there, no matter what dirty stuff is in there, not dirty, like, all right, I'm someone else talk.
TJ, it struck me as a love song. It really struck me as I want you, all of you, regardless of what baggage you have or come with. That's the way it came across, and it always has come across to me.
Yeah. See, the chorus is super catchy where you're singing that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the message is that's kind of the message, man. I definitely didn't write it as an overt love song. It was definitely more of like a human to human song, right? Like friend, love, whatever kind of thing. It wasn't really pigeonholed that way, but that's cool that's how you heard it first thing for sure.
I almost get a fast-paced Johnny Cash vibe from it.
Nice. I'll take that.
I did hear
I do now as well.
Yeah, there you go. Was there a Sticks and Stones reference? Because I know those were the lyrics somewhere.
Yes, it was not a
not a Newfound Glory reference, just part of the lyrics.
At least not consciously.
With the Dogs is the next song on the album, and this definitely, listening to the album, this definitely stood out as something that sounded different up to this point, which I thought was neat.
Yeah, I think it was definitely an outlier. I don't want to say it almost didn't make the album, but it was hard for me to find a place for it on the album that made sense. Especially since when I write music and do these projects, I usually share everything like with my wife, as it's kind of going in, and this was by far her least favorite song because it's just not her type of music, right? But I believed in it, and surprisingly enough to me, I think these guys would agree, but it's definitely one of the highlights live. For some reason, people really gravitate to it live.
Really?
And it's just, I think it fits in better in our set than it does on the record. It
sounds like it'd be an awesome live song.
It has good energy. It always has good energy live.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Fireworks because this is my favorite song on the track. Probably favorite song on the track. Favorite song on the album. This beer, I don't know how strong this beer is. Maybe it's kicking it.
Like 7.
Yeah. Fireworks. I'm a sucker for any song that approaches building the song as like a slow build and then just an explosion. Tell me about Fireworks and what this song means to you.
I'm gonna let Matt talk about this one because it's very near and dear to his heart, I think.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what the hell TJ wrote it about. It doesn't really matter to me. I have my own, thoughts.
Everyone interprets songs differently.
Yeah. And I told TJ I don't want to know what any of the songs are about because there's a couple of them. This is one. There's 3 of them on here, and this, Fire Away, this one, and then Life and Death. But this one is really, really one where there's a lot of emotional capital that's spent. I think from all of us as we play this live. I think the words lend themselves to a pretty wide open representation, but I think the general emotion is something that most people can relate to.
I mean, just the line, "I was crazy about you. I've been crazy my whole life." I don't like, it's a simple line, but something about that just sounds really cool. Like, I think the "I've been crazy my whole life" part.
Thank you. Yeah, this was a song I had wanted to write for years, at least thematically, and I just could never figure it out. And this kind of came together. This was a big production one, man. I mean, I had the core of it recorded and stuff, but then I just kind of kept adding layers and throwing shit at the wall. This was actually one where Pete, the singer of The Racer, who I mentioned earlier, he actually ended up singing that bridge part for me. So another one I was kind of stuck on. I was like, where does this live? And again, surprisingly, it's you're not the first person who said it's their favorite song. In fact, it's probably the most consistently mentioned song. And at the time when I was putting the record together, I was kind of like, this is probably the quote unquote filler song, right? Like near the end kind of. And it's transformed into a completely different thing, I think.
It's funny you call it a filler song because if you've listened to Krista Makes from Less Than Jake, of course, has a podcast talking to all kinds of people about like the anatomy of the song they've written, and how a lot of people put a song on there thinking it's a filler, and then it's just the fucking breakout hit. Like with Rise Against and their song Survivor, it's got like it's their most listened to song ever, and they almost didn't want to put it on the album. I think someone that was there is like, no, you got to put this on there. Like, all right, whatever. And then it blew up. It's I always find that fascinating when a band or an artist puts a song on there that they're like, I could take it or leave it, and then it's like just goes poof.
Yeah, it kind of like I would never put anything out I didn't believe in or fully back, and this wasn't that sort of song. It was kind of, for me, it was like, where does it live, I guess, in the story and the track listing? And that's kind of where I guess that's kind of where quote unquote filler came from, right? Is like, okay, let's just kind of pop it in there. But yeah, I mean, playing it live, I think, has totally transformed it for me. I mean, it's one of my favorite songs now too. Sometimes when you're writing stuff, you kind of need that distance from it to really kind of appreciate what you did. And I know after writing it and recording it, I was singing these words and tracking them, right? But I was never fully like appreciating them, I guess, or like, ingesting the meaning. And then afterwards, like hearing the takes back on the actual record, it's like, oh shit, like, yeah, that's what that song's about, right? Like it kind of just hit home. And yeah,
this is where I had my other note that it had a definite Jimmy Eat World feel song structure to me.
And to bring it back there, right? So the general feeling on this for me is this emotion that I pour into playing this song live is directly correlated to Just Watch the Fireworks. So
ding 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 ding.
It's great because like it builds and then it has the subtle dropout, but then it comes back for just like the last minute of that song, just the whole explosion there to wrap things up, and it's fantastic.
That ending is kind of a weird little tidbit because honestly, what inspired that ending is, you probably wouldn't expect it, but Killers, actually.
Okay.
Brandon's got this weird delivery on a lot of his songs, and where he's kind of like singing but not singing, and that's kind of where my head went to the end of the song, where those like last few lines of like the refrain, maybe I'm not, I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm singing but not singing, and that's kind of where that idea came from, I guess. So yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, tidbit.
People in the know are only going to get that from the podcast,
right?
Next up, the song "Doubt." Take my hand. I've got one thing on my mind, and it's fucking doubt. That I like that line a lot. I doubt everything I do. I think most people do. So easy to connect to, for one thing.
Very easy to connect to. Correct.
Yep. So easy.
I get the sense the song is about uncertainty.
Sure.
Although I am doubting my suspicions.
Yeah, man. I feel like I've said this. God, I feel like I've said this about a lot of songs now. But man, this song was one that I almost didn't put on here either. I feel like I almost had an EP and then it turned to. No, I was. This was actually the opposite of With the Dogs for me, where when I showed it to my wife, said she loved it, and she was like, "No, this is great." And I was like, "All right, well, I got to put it on now." And it was kind of surprising to me because it's not like it was her type of music. She's a lot more into like the, folk Americana kind of vibe. But she really liked the song, so I was like, "All right, it's gotta do something for someone, right?" Chad's a monster on it live, and it's a lot of fun to play.
I love it. We haven't played in a long time.
I love I love the big build up, and then it drops out to just guitar and drum while you're singing, and then builds back up. So musically, I really love the up and down in it.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a very that was a national type vibe, I guess I was going for on that one. Which is weird. It doesn't sound like that anymore, but at the time, in my head, that's what it was.
It was a good use of the dichotomy of the fortissimo and the lower volumes.
Nice.
The Erie violinist, everyone.
The Erie violinist. I did not hear a lot. I don't think was there any violin on this album?
No, there might be some on the next one.
Yeah, all right. I expect to break out the yellow card covers.
Next Halloween show.
There you
Yes.
Violin.
You guys are gonna owe me so much.
Spectrums. This was just a fucking cool song, I thought, and I thought it really stands out on the album with the guitar, drum, and I don't. Is it like an electric sounds that are going on this too?
Yeah, it's really there's very little going on in the song. It's electric guitar. There's that floor tom that kind of just keeps the time, and then really a tambourine.
It's the shortest song on the album, but it really is stuck with me.
Yeah, it was. I really like the God, I can't remember what you had told me, Matt, when you first heard it, but you had a very good description of this song that I wish I remembered.
I don't remember either.
Apparently, it didn't stick with him.
No, apparently not.
It definitely gave me vibes from like early Lydia stuff. I think that was the first impression that I had from it.
It's a song explicitly for my kids, and that's I had to include something like that. And I wanted to, I wanted to include something like that, and that's just kind of what the song means to me. And it kind of needed to be that sort of simple ballady type song, I guess. Yeah.
Nice.
And this is the one where we kind of switch up the arrangement live, and we've got a couple different versions of it depending on whether we're doing like a full band show or if it's like a more of an acoustic type of thing. We have a couple of different ways that we play it, which is kind of fun as a musician, not to get yourself too comfortable with something.
Well, I imagine if you're playing, the same songs, if your job's to play it over and over again, you want to find ways to mix it up and keep things fun for you, of course.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yep.
Life and or Death. Longest song on the album, I think it was, but it's an awesome way to close out the album. This is a great song. This is right up there with Fireworks for me. Especially the bridge and just the insanity that's going on there. It's catchy straight from the opening guitar for me. Loving the lows and the highs. That's what I mean. That line there. That's hard to love the lows, but they make the highs basically. So tell me how this song came about for you.
I had a lot to say. It's kind of the parallel to Fire Away, I guess, in that it's kind of making sense of everything that happens, but also very much on the mental health front side of things. The stuff that I went through, like that ended up, landed me in the hospital and stuff like that. It was obviously scary at the time, but it's I think it took a while for me to understand the impact that it had on me mentally. And I think this song, it was part of that process, and like uncovering that. And I could say every time we play it live now, there's another line that really just kind of, I'll say it and all of a sudden I'll kind of get a little teary-eyed or whatever. It was a very tough song to piece together and kind of just talk about these feelings, because as the song says right there are times when I, at least then, I didn't want to be alive, right? But I also didn't want to die, so it's just like you're kind of stuck in that purgatory, I guess, for lack of a better word, where you just
I've had that thought so many times, like I don't want to go anywhere, but I also don't want to be here.
Right. Exactly. And again, I was like, how do I say this without saying it? And then I said, no, fuck that, just say it. So I did. And yeah, that's yeah.
But it's funny because that really is kind of the antithesis of Fire Away. It is kind of where all these songs have led you. It sounds like lyrically. Just again, I've referenced just that fucking epic bridge musically and lyrically. Sounds great.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's definitely the most, I guess, personal one on the record with Fire Away, and probably the most definitely most important, I would say. Yeah.
It really sums up the whole theme of the album, both broadly and then, we're all parents, the four of us, and I think there's a lot of these things that, TJ was trying to get to pen and paper and ears, for the sake of his kids, like we talked at the onset. And I think that's something that translates, I'm going to say it for me, absolutely is something that, as my kids are getting to that age too, it's like, there are times when things are going to be really hard and really crappy, and you're not going to know how to act or what you want to do or how to move forward. But if you keep doing it, you get there. You get there eventually. And from a live standpoint, we often play fireworks right into this song, and I think we all leave the stage physically drained, but also emotionally drained, because we put so much into the performance of them, because the words mean so much to us.
Oh yeah, I could absolutely see that. We've touched on that. That pretty much wraps up the album, but we touched on this. So what are some of your favorite parts to play live then? Now that we're back to playing shows, the pandemic has at least cooled down enough to have shows. What excites you now when you step up on stage to play?
For me, it's going from life, death into fireworks. That is just, I have to do the most work of the night there. And it just really, I'm pushing as hard as I can. I'm hitting as hard as I can. I'm just trying to like get every feeling I have out and just leave it for people to see. So that's my favorite part of the live performance.
Yeah, I had that backwards. It's this into fireworks. I don't know why I said it the other way. We just had practice like 2 hours ago.
Come on, Matt.
Too much PBR coffee.
We didn't have that today. Chad's wife.
We had the Guinness coffee.
Well, he broke out the liquor. He's sitting there drinking some Ironweed from Albany Distilling. So yeah,
Albany Distilling is great. We love that too. But it's probably a combination of that, that segue, because usually that's the way we end our sets, and it feels great. But between that and a couple of the new songs that we're rolling out, that's kind of the most exciting part for me right now, I think.
Definitely that ending. I mean, that's kind of the consensus for sure. But I would say we at least lately, we've been opening our set with The Dirt Inside Your Soul. And when even as far back as when kind of the four of us got together, I kind of made it a point to myself to make sure that I enjoyed every single minute of being on stage, and even more so now, because there was a long time there where we had wanted to be on stage and we couldn't, right? So when we kind of step out and start playing The Dirt Inside Your Soul, I feel like I'm just kind of grinning. And for me, at least, it sets the tone for the rest of the set. I don't know that it's specifically that song, or if it's just the first song we play that kind of gets me into it, but that's kind of like, I don't know. It puts me in that place, right? It's energetic and it's fun. And then from there on out, it's just kind of like smiles, energy, and, no cares for 30, 40 minutes, right?
Nice. So what's coming up for the band? What are you guys doing? You have a couple shows to wrap up the year, I think, right?
We've got this Friday. I'm not sure when this podcast will come out, but we've got Friday, December 3rd up at Putnam Place with our buddies in Bent and Haley Moley.
Nice.
That's going to be a great
Saturday the 4th is that the skate shop show? And
that one unfortunately is postponed.
Oh, okay.
So we're off on the 4th, but then we're back in action on the 11th, guys. Is it?
Yes.
December 11th.
Yep.
It's a Saturday, which is our show at the Linda. With again, we're going to be playing with Haley Moley again, but then really excited, we're going to get on stage with El Modernist, and then North by North, which is a band from Minnesota that's swinging.
Chicago.
Sorry, I knew it was the Midwest.
Same thing.
It's all that way.
Chad, you're in charge of the Midwest.
They're from the left.
That's why I corrected you. They're Chicago. It's fine.
Okay.
And you're working on some new material at all?
We have a good amount of new material that, again, I've been sending the guys. Our plan initially was kind of to take this fall and winter and kind of start working on that. And then a lot of show opportunities came up, and we wanted to play them, right? So I think going into the beginning of next year is kind of when we're going to be hunkering down and polishing some of that stuff off, start recording. We have no idea what it's going to turn into yet. If it's a few EPs, if it's another full length, 18 or 20 songs in there that we're going to be hashing out. So no idea what it looks like, but as Matt referenced, we are playing a couple of the songs live, and it's been a lot of fun. Just hearing these guys actually now in a writing a role, right, where they didn't have that on the first record, but the new stuff is sounding like us, right? So
it's very fun.
Yep.
Awesome. So I thought a fun way to wrap things up here would be, what's everyone listening to currently these days? What have you got going on your earbuds?
Physically listening to, I've been listening to a lot of the Alvin and the Chipmunks Christmas soundtrack.
It is Christmas time.
Thanks to my daughter. But on a more personal note, I would say this is kind of the time where I kind of go back through and start refamiliarizing myself with everything that came out this year. And so the Middle Kids record is probably my favorite record that came out this year. So I've been listening to that a lot lately.
Nice.
What else? Taylor Swift, Folklore is still up there because that was a great album. Yeah, I love that album. It's really good. That's I don't know. I hate answering that question.
Sorry.
I can't sing. Like, don't apologize.
I didn't mean it. I just said it to be polite. Matt or Chad?
I told you earlier, I listen to a lot of hockey podcasts.
Yep.
So I don't listen to, I'm a really weird drummer. I don't really listen to a lot of music. I listen to like whatever's on the radio, and I listen to podcasts, and these guys will send me some things here and there that I'll check out. But I feel like between work and family life and parenting, I don't have a ton of time to really dive in the way I used to. So I don't have somebody that's on my list. So.
All right, next, Matt.
So I was turned on this year to John Lewis, who's a Nashville singer-songwriter, has been kicking around for a while. I think it was in 2019, he released an album called I'll Be Fine, which is probably the best breakup record I have heard in a long, long time.
Wow.
I found it at an important time in my life. So John Lewis, as we turn seasons, I'm a big Dallas Green fan. And I just saw City in Color over in Northampton, Mass. a couple weeks ago. So a lot of City in Color right now. And then for writing purposes, I've been listening to a lot of what I, cut my teeth listening to in my teens and early 20s, Get Up Kids, Thursday, that whole scene, anything from Jade Tree Records from 95 to 05. So I don't think there's any 1 hour of the day where my Spotify is not open.
Nice. I've actually been on a huge Grayscale kick. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with them. I saw they were in Albany a couple weeks ago. I actually had Alex from Young Culture on.
I was listening to that. That sounded like like they were gonna have a lot of fun on that show.
Yeah, if you even just follow any of their social media, they're getting pretty crazy. But so I knew Young Culture, so I started listening to Grayscale, and their albums are just fucking phenomenal. It's like dance punk is kind of like the best way I can describe it. But
nice,
some awesome stuff. I think at this point I'm legally obliged to mention Butch Walker because I talk about him so much.
Yes.
If Jordan was here, you guys would probably be on a 2-hour tangent about.
Yeah, this would be a 3-hour podcast.
Are you a Butch Walker fan?
Oh yeah,
big time.
All right. Then maybe it's better it's not here. We can wrap this up in the hour time frame.
I've gotten more into Butch as the years have gone on. Back in college, Jordan would always try and get me into him, and it never clicked. But I think in the last few years, it's clicked more.
It will. You just keep it up.
Oh yeah. I've always loved. I mean, anything he produces is gold. So that's kind of where I started appreciating Butch Walker, and then going into his songwriting, it was more. I just needed to find the right record, and I can't remember the one with the skull on the front. Came out a few years ago.
Oh, Stay Gold.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
that's a great album. Yeah,
that was really the one that I was like, all right, this is this is up my alley right now, and I kind of went back and listened to some of the earlier stuff. So yeah,
nice. And that sounds like a great place to wrap things up. Just Butch Walker love. So. So that's going to do it for another edition of Stories from a Bar. Big thank you, TJ, Matt, and Chad, for hanging out, talking all about Erie, Don't Want to Live, Don't Want to Die. This has been real fun. I appreciate the time you've spent hanging out with me, having some drinks and chatting. It's fun.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
If you're not doing it out there already, be sure to go and like and follow Erie on all their social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at a band called Erie, not the Erie Canal.
Correct.
I feel like that's important. Or anything else that's Erie. You want a band called Erie.
Erie.
Yeah, not Erie, PA. They are from Albany. Also, I know you guys have a Bandcamp page, a band called Erie.bandcamp.com. Anything else you guys want to throw out there?
If you want to find our music on any of the streaming platforms, E.R.I.E, A.E. That's the only way to get it to come up. Otherwise, you'll just get a bunch of random songs.
You're welcome.
Thanks, TJ.
Yeah, seriously.
Big thank you to everyone out there for checking out the show. You can, of course, follow Stories from a Bar on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Stories FAB to keep up with everything going on and what's coming up on the show. Be sure to check out Popcorn and Pints on Facebook and Twitter. Live streams every Saturday nights where I drink with some friends and we just talk about movies. And also, don't forget your discount code for uptownbeverage.com, stories, one word, for 3% off beer purchases. Cheap beer is always the best. You'll find Stories from a Bar on all major podcast platforms. Be sure to like and subscribe, and even more importantly, leave a fantastic review and share the hell out of it. So until next time, people, cheers.
Cheers.